Part 29. My Love Simulation with Them. Author, Chiudeo Udaziiwe. Chapter 282. 1. The 1-year period has arrived, the favorability level is full, it's time to confess. 2. Wait and see the follow-up development. Be sure to grasp the weakness of the carnivorous girl with glasses, and then force her to agree to your confession. 3. Miss Jinmu is heartbroken for me, I can't betray her. Decisively confess your love to Nishiki Kishu. 4. Simulate it yourself. Options suddenly pop up in front of you. He also attracted Nang Xiangshi's attention. In addition to personal simulation, there are still 3 options. First of all, using the elimination method, Nang Xiangshi was able to easily eliminate the 3 options. These 3 options are exactly the same as the previous guaranteed Yamada Ryo option. They both reveal a route in which, as long as you choose it, the final road will lead to the guaranteed ending. Then there are only options 1 or 2 left. The meanings expressed by these 2 options are also very simple. One option is that after he realizes Fudabario's current feelings, he immediately chooses to confess. The second option is to wait and see the subsequent development and strive to confess to Fudabario with a higher success rate. Both options make sense. But looking at it from Nang Xiangshi's perspective, the second option should be more stable. Nang Xiangshi's finger crossed the 2 options. As the protagonist in the simulation, he can feel it. Although Fudabario has now let go of her frustrations and has begun to actively develop her relationship with him. But in fact, the other party still has something he cares about. That is her close friends Nishiki Kishu and Inu Takina, who have been helping her and supporting her. And it is not difficult to see through simulation. Nishiki Chisuk and Inu Takina's favorability towards Nango has not changed at all. As close friends with each other, it is impossible for Ryo Futaba not to notice the feelings Nishiki Kishu and Inu Takina have for him. That's why there is a sentence in the simulation: she is also secretly enjoying a further relationship with you. This secret most likely means that Fudabario still has hesitation in her heart. I'm worried that my confession will damage my relationship with Nishiki Chisuk and Inu Takina. If it is like this, an immediate confession of choice. It is very likely that he will be rejected by Fudabario, who wants to take care of the emotions of Nishiki Kishu and Inu Takina. This girl with glasses is such a person who cares about her friends' feelings. Then the second option is undoubtedly better. Nang Xiangshi no longer hesitated and chose the second option. You have noticed Fudabario's feelings for you, and you also know that the reason why Fudabario does not take the initiative to confess to you is because this girl with glasses cares about the feelings of Nishiki Chisuk and Inu Takina. You decide to wait and see what happens, and after you catch the other party, force this woman who dares to secretly kiss you to confess her love. This opportunity is not difficult to wait for. During the simulation, memories began to emerge. The location is still at Like Like. Only this time the location is not at the front desk, but in the backstage lounge. Nang Xiangshi, who had been busy for a long time, said hello to everyone and walked to the backstage lounge. Get into it? Yawned. Nang Xiangshi lay directly on the table. Probably due to being too exhausted. Soon, light snoring could be heard in the employee lounge. And following the snoring, he walked into the lounge. It is a petite, cute, tiptoeing figure. Nang Xiang, Nang Xiang. Called twice softly. Got no response. Fudabario's heart was tense, and she let out a sigh of relief. She knew it. The quality of sleep in Nang Xiang has always been very good. As long as you fall asleep, it is difficult to wake up unless a specific time comes. And this also gave her the opportunity to do evil. Approach gently. When looking at Nang Xiang, who had closed his eyes and fell asleep, a look of love and pity emerged from Fudabario's eyes. This person is serious both at work and in life and does not want to relax. No wonder I'm so tired. She leaned down and gently brushed away Nang Xiangshi's stray hair from her ears. In order to prevent her long hair from falling on Nan Xiangxi's face and waking him up, she deliberately lifted the hair around her ears with her hands. Then he lowered his head, closed his eyes, and gently touched the side of the young man's face with his pink lips. But very quickly, Fudabario closed her eyes and realized something was wrong. Because she can feel it. The touch from the lips. It doesn't seem to be the feeling on the cheeks. It's more moisturizing and soft. Fudabario's golden eyes widened slightly in shock. It was under her gaze. Nan Xiangxi's lips, which she didn't know when she opened her eyes, happened to come into contact with her pink lips. Looking at her with panic on her face, the young man in front of him smiled. Chapter 212. 3 people go together, 4 people end up. 4,000 words. Your fishing plan succeeded. Fudabario, who has become bolder, followed up and handed the handle into your hands without any precautions. Faced with your forceful inquiry, Fudabario was at a loss as she was forced into a corner, let alone how to answer. I really didn't expect that Rio would do such a thing secretly. Staring at Fudabario, who was huddled in the corner, Nang Xiang strode forward, trapping her in the small space in the corner, pretending to be sad. Obviously I trust you so much. Fudabario's face turned red at this moment. It's not the faint pink color like cherry blossoms when you are shy, but an expression like a really steamed red octopus. She wanted to quibble, but when the words came to her lips, she couldn't say them at all. I stayed for a long time. What do you think of a boy's chastity? Rio. Nang Xiangxi's face was filled with sadness. No, it's not like that, Nang Xiang, you listen to my explanation. Fudabario subconsciously raised his head. Never mind. Nang Xiangxi turned around with a sad face. You have already done this kind of thing to me, how can you explain it? The determination in Nango Toki's words made Fudabario not sure how to respond. Now that things have come to this, what else can you do? How can you compensate me? Nang Xiang asked another question. That. Fudabario took out the money clip from her pocket with trembling white fingers, poured out a dozen 10,000 yen bills inside, and lowered her head. That's all I have for the time being. Am I the kind of man who does whatever he wants after giving me money? Oh, I didn't expect that I would look like this in your eyes. Nang Xiangxi tried his best to look away from the dozen 10,000 yuan bills, sighed and shook his head. Now that the matter has come to this, I can only ask you. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. Having completely lost her sense of proportion, Fudabario could only continue following Nango Toki's words uneasily. She didn't want her relationship with Nan Xiang to end because of this momentary action. It was only then that she realized how important this young man who accompanied her in school and at work was to her. Therefore, no matter what request Nang Xiangxi makes, as long as it is reasonable, legal and reasonable, she was really willing to make amends. Fudabario held her breath as she listened to Nango Shi's voice. Then please Rio, please take responsibility for me. Why? Fudabario's golden eyes widened. She didn't expect that things would develop like this. She couldn't help but ask in a low voice, taking responsibility means. Of course you want to be my girlfriend and date me. Nan Xiangxi showed a narrow smile. When this handsome young man showed such a smile, it always seemed like he was planning something. Why? Huh? You don't want to? No. She didn't expect that things would take such a turn of events, let alone that she would become Nang Xiang's girlfriend in this way. Fudabario's heart was in a mess. She was very happy that she was able to get Nang Xiangxi's confession. But on the other hand, I was very worried. Because so many days have passed, Nishiki Kishu and Inu Takina have long become her close friends. My love simulation with them. Author, Chiudeo Uda Ziwei. Chapter 283. If they become boyfriend and girlfriend with Nang Xiangxi, will it cause them to become estranged from themselves? All kinds of emotions surged up and down in my heart. But in the end, she moved her head up and down. The movement of moving his head up and down was too weak. If Nang Xiang hadn't been staring at her all the time, he probably wouldn't have noticed. Out of this consideration, Nang Xiangxi completely forced the bespectacled girl into a corner, as if driving her into his own cage, and asked. "You agreed?" A shy pink color floated on her cheeks. Fudabario nodded gently. "You did not miss this opportunity, took the opportunity to ask her to take responsibility, and forced her to become your girlfriend. Her hesitant character must be promoted by you yourself." Under your strong attack, Fudabario can only agree. But she is also worried, feeling that Nishiki Kishu and Inu Takina will distance themselves from her. But her worries are obviously unnecessary. Even if I have already dated you. But Nishiki Chisuk and Inu Takina's attitude toward her was the same as usual, even more enthusiastic than usual. This sudden enthusiasm made Fudabario feel more cordial, and at the same time, it also made her feel more indebted to Nishiki Kishu and Inu Takina. The two of them treated her so intimately, but they ended up sneaking away first. She doesn't want to see her friends unable to be happy. But I can't stay away from you. Two different moods pulled her. Miss Nishikiki, Miss Nishikiki. Looking at Miss Nishiki's performance in the simulation, Nang Xiangxi understood that his previous guess was absolutely correct. It's not the lily root, but it's a happy ending for two people that is different from Nishiki Chisuk's love simulation. This time it's very likely that the three of them will die happily. Now let's take a look. Nishikiki Chisuk took the initiative to develop a relationship with Fudabario, just for the success of the three people's trip plan. An increasingly close relationship. In addition, Fudabario doesn't want to see her friends sad, let alone see her friends unable to be happy and regretful. The road ahead is almost predictable. I didn't expect it, I didn't expect it. Nang Xiang was angry and funny. This little girl seems to be carefree and carefree. But I didn't expect that he would secretly lead things to this situation. I really feel like a love strategist. Lift your spirits when you are in Nang Xiang. After Goto Kazuri personally simulated it, his mentality changed greatly. Miss Jinmu's operation was actually beneficial to him. He continued to look down. After officially becoming boyfriend and girlfriend with you, Fudabario is much bolder than before. Especially after getting your approval, this science girl who always has a cold face will secretly enter your low-rent house and take care of your daily life. She can do everything from cleaning up your housework to making tea, serving water, and cleaning your ears with ease. Having lived alone since childhood, her ability to take care of herself is no weaker than yours. You refuse as a perfect teenager in Tokyo, you don't need such service and help from your girlfriend, you firmly believe that you can take care of yourself. You begin to reject her temptation to serve. Oh, not bad. The spirit came when Nang Xiang came. Although it was just me in the simulation, this game was obviously much tougher than the previous game. Yes. That's it. How can one accept the temptation and indulge in laziness? You are the perfect Tokyo pretty boy. Nang Xiangxi continued to look down with interest. There is always a limit to what can be rejected. Fudabario's initiative and unwillingness to give up made you gradually accept her kindness. You gradually stopped resisting and enjoyed her careful care. Your ability to take care of yourself has been reduced. Nang Xiangxi. Nang Xiang didn't say anything. No way. Got used to. After all, it's just yourself in the simulation. If he is allowed to do it by himself. Nang Xiang couldn't help but imagine Fudabario taking the initiative to take care of him in his mind. A good morning kiss, cooking, feeding, helping with dressing, bringing an umbrella for you when you go out, never interrupting when seeing you talking to other people, a silent and well-behaved character who will respond immediately as long as you make a request. This, seems. Is it quite difficult to resist? Hiss, Nangxiang coughed twice. Putting aside his previous thoughts, he simply stopped thinking about such things. You have accepted Fudabario's careful care. But similarly, when facing Nishiki Kishu and Inu Takina at work, she still hesitated and didn't know what to do. The relationship with them becomes more and more intimate. The more she understood, whether it was the blonde-haired girl who always had wild ideas in her mind, or the black-haired girl who was silent and cold. Both of them love you no less than she does. She doesn't want to lose you likewise, she doesn't want the relationship with them to end here. With such feelings, she seemed to have made some kind of decision. She begins to secretly test your bottom line. For example, I will occasionally let you watch some harem-oriented animations and TV series. We will also secretly ask you what you think of the hero and heroine. Simulating. Memories began to flood back. Nango yawned while accompanying Fudabario to watch a youth idol drama. He himself is not interested in this kind of romantic TV series. Only at Fudabario's request did she choose to read it. How do you feel? She. Fudabario, who was packing the TV drama box, secretly observed Nango's expression. Huh? It's a boring movie, right? Nangxiangshi held his chin and commented, the withdrawn and introverted girl met two cheerful and cold girls and became friends with them, and then fell in love with the boy they both liked. In the end, under the guilt in their hearts and their feelings for their friends, the four of them lived a happy life together. Isn't this plot too boring? Nanxiangshi shrugged. If I had written it, it must have been a fierce battle of wits between a withdrawn and introverted girl who wanted to get the upper hand, and two cheerful and cold girls. Why? Fudabario opened her mouth. Then, amid inner entanglements and guilt towards her two friends, she finally succeeded in becoming the hero's girlfriend, but even then she was not happy, because in the process of struggle, she lost the most important thing. The friendship between the three of them will be full of twists and turns in this way. Nangxiangshi issued a sharp comment. It's already 2023, and I'm still writing such a mediocre plot, which makes me question the level of the screenwriter. Well. Being scolded like this, Fudabario didn't know how to reply, so she could only turn her head to one side. Compared to this, have you played the game I recommended to you? Oh, that game. Nangxiangshi leaned his back against the edge of the bed and replied casually, I don't have a computer either. If I want to play, I probably have to go to an internet cafe. Fudabario's fingers trembled slightly, and then she spoke nonchalantly. I have an idle laptop at home. I will bring it to you now. She said, stood up, and prepared to walk out. No. Nanxiangshi yawned, I'm not particularly interested in this type of game. Can't. It was rare that the girl with glasses, who had always been cold and silent, sounded a little panicked this time. You must play it. I highly recommend this game. Well, the final plot of the three heroines is really good. Oh. Nangxiangshi prolonged his tone thoughtfully. Speaking of which, Ms. Futaba seems to be recommending animations and games with harem plots to me recently. Snap. With a wicked smile, Nangxiangshi hugged the girl's petite body from behind, bit her earlobe and said softly, What's wrong? Are you trying to do something bad without telling me recently? Huh. I didn't. He was caught doing something while in Nangxiang. Fudabario still tried to maintain a calm tone and shook her head in denial. Yeah. Looking at the girl's slightly red face. Nangxiangshi laughed, okay, let's treat it like this, but force me to play a game I don't like to play. Rio, you have to give me a reward after it's over. What reward? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My love simulation with them. Author, Chiudeo Udaziiwe. Chapter 284. I don't care. Nangashi touched Fudabario's head, smiled, and said in a tone that a girl could not refuse, anyway, I want to see the reward when the time comes. Oh. Knowing that she couldn't refuse Nango's request, Fudabario could only nodded her head gently. Your agreement makes her feel more inspired, and she becomes more and more courageous. Start recommending various excellent harem works for you to play. You really know how to play. In reality, Nangxiang felt the simulated memory in his mind and couldn't help but sigh. As expected of Fudabario. If you make up your mind to do something, you will do it well. But it's already so explicit. Doesn't she still think she didn't notice it? Even if the other party is myself in the simulation. Such a performance. He should have noticed it directly. The following simulation also seemed to verify Nangxiangxi's conjecture. She felt that she had hidden herself very well, and even felt proud of herself. But in fact, you have already noticed what she is thinking. Just to take care of her emotions, you didn't tell the truth. Because it is the same as Fudabario. Whether it's Ryo Futaba, Chibeki Nishiki, or Takina Inu, you always wanted them to be happy from the beginning. Her positive behavior also promotes your next action. Coming. The observing Nangxiang suddenly became energetic. 3 people go together, what will happen to the 4 of them? Chapter 213. My girlfriend is a girl. 4,000 words. As Nangxiangxi watched, the simulation continued. Just watching Fudabariko move, and you as the party concerned are indifferent, this is obviously not in line with your style all the time. And you also know Nishiki Kishu and Inu Takina very well. You know, this girl who looks carefree on the outside, seems to be carefree in doing things, and is extremely enthusiastic about others, must be happy to see this kind of situation. In this regard, you decide. 1. I only love Li Yang for the rest of my life, bad woman, go away. 2. Verify your suspicions and ask her directly if she deliberately created this situation. 3. I can't bear it anymore. Let's have a party tonight. 4. Simulate it yourself. Nangxiangxi glanced over. With the options in front of him, he didn't feel at a loss. After all, what these 3 options express. It's pretty clear already. Nangxiangxi glanced at the 3 options. As for the first option, it should be Fudabario's solo route as expected. If you choose, you will most likely enter the route of only loving Fudabario. And with Fudabario's character, she might still regret for Nishiki Chisuke and Inu Takina in the end, marry him and have children, right? A very likely regrettable ending. Exclude. So the correct answer. If nothing else, it should be the second option. Ask Nishiki Kishu and ask Nishiki Kishu to assist, this should be the development. After all, Miss Nishikiki has already simulated a happy ending. He still knows something about Miss Nishikiki. He is straightforward and there is no need to hide anything in front of her. She is almost as easy to talk to as Ryo Yamada. Only. Nangxiangxi turned his attention to the 3 options. Well. Partying tonight? After all, he was really curious about what kind of party this party was. Well, let's forget it. Nangxiangxi shook his head, put away the evil thoughts in his heart, and moved his eyes away from the option of party at night. He is not himself in the simulation. As a perfect teenager in Tokyo, he has considerable self-discipline. Save it for next time. There is still a simulation opportunity anyway. Making a decision, Nangxiang pointed his finger at the second option. You decide to test your suspicions and ask Nishiki Kishu whether he deliberately created this situation. Under your direct inquiry, Nishiki Kishu admitted generously. Similarly, She also told you that she made friends with Fudabario out of her heart. Looking at the withdrawn and introverted Rio, she couldn't help but want to lend a helping hand even without your request, even if the other party might like her, the person she likes. She is a girl who can't worry about other people's personalities. Memories, flash. I was immersed in it when I was in Nangxiang. This must have been some night. Fudabario and Inu Takina went out to buy drinks. After Nakahara Mizuki and Hutao finished their work, they hid in the backstage of Rico Rico to fish. The only people in the Rico Rico coffee shop were Nango Toki, who took off his chef's hat and wiped the plate, and the blonde-haired girl beside him who propped up his face and stared at him, showing his neat white teeth and laughing. So you had anticipated, or secretly planned for this to happen? Right. Wiping the shiny plate in his hand, Nang Xiangxi asked. Yes. This was too blunt a question when facing Nang Xiang, but the girl admitted it generously. She smiled heartily. Needless to say, Takina, I can't worry about Sister Rio either. She has a character that is very easy to get into trouble. No one except Toki-kun should be able to take care of her. It hurts. Snap. A crisp sound. Before Jinmyukinsha could finish her words, she let out a cry of pain. Seeing her like this, Nang Xiangxi also slowly removed his fingers from her smooth forehead. Hey hey. I didn't hear Nang Xiangxi's accusation. Knowing that the other party was acquiescing to his idea, Nishiki Kishu laughed twice, and then continued. This way it's safe. Sister Li Yang is willing to accept us. We are also willing to work with Sister Li Yang. Hee, Toki-kun, this is all thanks to me. Praise me. She puffed out her chest, obviously very satisfied with the current situation. Yes, thanks to you. As for her appearance, Nan Xiangxi couldn't help but shake his head, obviously thinking of the many harem games and youth love idol dramas she had been forced to play these days. After a while. But speaking of it, I didn't expect that Sister Li Yang would actually do this. Nishiki Kishu groaned slightly and made a sound, with a little sigh in it. Obviously, she didn't expect that Fudabario would go to this extent with Inu Takina for her. He was actually willing to accept them both so quickly. And he also secretly asked Nang Xiang Tokiya to accept the result of the four of them moving forward together. She originally thought it would take her a while to get Fudabario to figure it out. That's the kind of person she is. Nang Xiang put down the plate that had been wiped clean of water droplets. He knew it clearly. Fudabario can do a lot for her friends, but she doesn't want to see her friends Nishiki Chisuke and Inu Takina in misfortune. Therefore, she chose the path of coexistence that is very difficult for many people to choose. Fudabario is such a serious person, but also very stubborn in some places. You must cherish the friendship you have with her, Qianshu. Nang Xiangxi spoke. I know. It seemed that he felt the weight of Nang Xiangxi's words. This time Nishiki Kishu put away the careless expression he always had on his face. She has long regarded Fudabario as her best friend. Naturally, he is unwilling and impossible to hurt her. It is precisely because Nishiki Chisuke and Fudabario are true friends that she is not willing to have you exclusively with Inu Takina. For this girl who always has a wild mind, she never hesitates to share good things with her friends. What does it mean to exclusively have me with Inu Takina? When he saw this, Nan Xiangxi shook his head in amusement. After all, is Miss Nishiki so sure? And you have already made plans to share him. This person is really. However, after the simulated memory just now, he felt a little relieved. Although it has been speculated before that Fudabario's sudden boldness was caused by Nishiki Kishu's fueling and Fudabario's guilt towards Nishiki Kishu and Inu Takina. But that's just speculation, and it's somewhat untenable. After seeing Nishiki Kishu proactively admit it, only then did he feel relieved and could continue to look back. My love simulation with them. Author, Chiudeo Uda Ziwei. Chapter 285. After that, you asked Inu Takina about her attitude. Contrary to your expectations, this girl who always has a cold and serious face is consistent with Nishiki Kishu's position, and she also accepted Fudabario's sudden intervention. For this black-haired girl, you, Nishiki Kishu and this Riko are her entire world. She respects both of your ideas. Similarly, although she looks cold on the surface, she also cares very much about the girl wearing glasses. You get the attitude of two people. You know what you are doing and decide immediately. 1. Show the close relationship between Nishiki Kishu, Inu Takina, and you, in order to implicitly remind Fudabario that you have actually accepted her a long time ago. 2. There is no need to be secretive and confess the matter directly to Fudabario. Sometimes it is necessary to take the initiative. 3. Great, finally no more patience, let's have a party tonight. Simulate it yourself. It's another party. Nanxiang was a little speechless. How obsessed was he with partying in the simulation? Want to party so bad? Obviously the relationship hasn't progressed to that point yet. The third option was temporarily removed from the option box, and Nangxiangshi turned to the first and second options. The first and second options are very clear. They all confessed the problem to Fudabario and asked her to accept the situation before her. But the first option is equivalent to a side reminder, and the second option is to make a prompt decision and explain directly. But compared to the first option, Nangxiangshi actually prefers the second option. Just like what Fudabario simulated earlier. She is a person who is extremely easy to get into trouble. Showing intimacy may only make the other person think wildly. And with her character, at certain critical moments, she needs others to take the initiative to push her. Just like what Nishiki Kishu and Nangxiang did. Thinking of this, Nangxiangshi did not hesitate and directly chose the second option. Considering Fudabario's character issues, it would be unwise to remind her from the side. Her hesitant character requires you to take the initiative to reach out and give her a push. With this in mind, you, Nishiki Kishu, and Inu Takina simply confess to her what you are thinking. Fudabario was surprised by the three of you's voluntary confession. But compared to her surprise, Nishiki Kishu did not hesitate to reach out and hug her, smiling heartily. Oh, I really didn't expect Sister Li Yang to think so much about the two of us. He hugged Fudabario unceremoniously. Nishiki Kishu smiled heartily and also thanked Fudabario for her efforts during this period. Well. Fudabario's face turned red. What she didn't expect was that Nangxiangshi would notice her little thoughts so quickly. But that. Fudabario's voice hesitated, and she raised her head and looked to the other side. In fact, compared to Nishiki Kishu's cheerfulness, Fudabario was more concerned about the attitude of Inu Takina on the other side, who was sipping a teacup. It is different from the happy expression of Jinmu Qianshu. Although she has become good friends with Inu Takina, Fudabario sometimes still can't figure out what this black-haired girl who always has a cold face is thinking. With her serious character, will she really accept herself? Various ideas are brewing in my mind. Fudabario was a little uneasy. He seemed to be aware of her thoughts. Inu Takina slowly put down the teacup. Then she raised her head, Miss Futaba. The voice is not loud, but there is something indescribable. Is there a problem? Do you like Shijun? Fudabario. This is undoubtedly a particularly easy question to answer. But Fudabario heard something else from Inu Takina's words. Do you like Nangxiangshi? No doubt. She liked it? Whether it is Nangxiang, help yourself get out of the shadow of feelings. Or maybe Nangxiangshi had extended a helping hand to her again and again, keeping her in like, these things, were enough to show her good impression of Nangxiangshi. But just liking it doesn't mean everything. Next, she will work with Nishiki Kishu and Inu Takina. At that time, could she still maintain the enthusiasm in her heart? This is undoubtedly a particularly important issue. She began to think. It seems like a long time passed. It seemed like only a moment had passed. Under the scrutinizing gaze of Inu Takina, Fudabario spoke, "Well, I like Nango. No bumps and bruises. No more hesitation." Fudabario has already thought about everything in her mind. In an extremely calm manner, he answered Inu Takina's question. Likewise, she was also waiting for Inu Takina's answer. What exactly did the other party think? In Fudabario's sight, the black-haired girl placed her palms on her knees and nodded. "I see. Why?" This too simple answer made Fudabario, who was still waiting for Inu Takina's follow-up question, stunned for a moment. She couldn't help but open her mouth. "Is that all?" "If not." Inu Takina, who was sitting like a peony, asked back. "Well, I have confirmed that you like Shijun. Apart from this issue, there is nothing else that I need to worry about." Inu Takina answered simply, and then shook her head to herself. "Oh, no, there is one more thing." When she said this, she made a respectful three-finger salute like a newlywed wife meeting. "Please give me more advice in the future, Rio." She spoke and lowered her head. "Huh? It's not that I'm the one. Little girls are not talented. Please give Takina more advice in the future." Fudabario was caught off guard by this sudden courtesy. She hurriedly lowered her head and made the same three-finger gesture. The two men bowed their heads to each other. When Nishiki Kishu next to him saw it, he burst out laughing. Okay. From now on, we will all be sleeping together. Stop saying such unfaithful things." She simply put her arms around Nango Toki, Fudabario, and Inu Takina, and hummed proudly, "Humph, this is the so-called monogamy." Nishiki Kishu proudly announced the existence of the monogamy system in front of you. Afterwards, you gave this blonde-haired girl who was too complacent a hard spanking. That night, she held your hand reluctantly and insisted that you apply medicine to her butt. Chapter 214. The airplane clouds in spring taste just right, 4,100 words. Stable. Very stable. In reality, Nangxiang made a sound of satisfaction. He was basically sure. He probably hasn't made any wrong choices by now. All chosen on ideas. Fudabario's knot in her heart has been untied. Nishiki Chisuk and Inu Takina have also accepted each other. A better future almost beckons in simulation. Only. It's just that we can't take it lightly. Nanxiang sneezed while huddled in the bed. Because he was caught in the cold autumn rain, his body was a little cold and he rolled up the quilt. Nangxiang did not forget it, except Nishiki Kishu and Inu Takina. There was another thing he had to face waiting for him. That is, Fudabario still needs to study abroad. When I was in Nangxiang, I was leaning against the quilt. He has not forgotten this incident that was almost a turning point in Fudabario's life. It hasn't happened yet because we're still in our sophomore year of high school. Wait until you enter your senior year of high school. My love simulation with them. Author, Chiudeo Udazi. Chapter 286. This problem will be something everyone needs to face. With this thought, Nanxiangshi's eyes did not stop, following the changes in the text on the simulator. Your relationship with Fudabario, Nishiki Kishu, and Inu Takina has deepened. You became lovers with Fudabario, Nishiki Kishu, and Inu Takina. Although you have become lovers, the things you want to do have not changed at all. Going to and from school every day, the trajectory of life actually does not deviate much. The only thing that has changed may be that the relationship between the four of you is much closer than before. Fudabario, who was no longer hesitant, distressed or worried before, became more and more bold in her behavior. Sometimes she was even encouraged by Nishiki Kishu to sneak into your low-rent house with her. At this time, Inu Takina will stand up and act as a lubricant to stop the two people's behavior. But even though Inu Takina stopped her, Nishiki Kishu still had no intention of restraining herself. Having finally accomplished all the things I wanted to do, this fair-haired girl who is fearless is of course eager to develop a further relationship with you. Just holding hands and hugging, this kind of thing can no longer satisfy her. Sometimes she will take the initiative to kiss you, and she will even boldly tell you that she is wearing underwear today, and it doesn't matter even if she shows it to you. Although Inu Takina and Fudabario didn't say much about her behavior, they also felt a sense of crisis. Their behavior is also becoming increasingly bold. At the request of the three girls, you gave each of them a spare key to the low-rent house. But after all, the area of low-rent housing is still too small. It would be inconvenient for 4 people to squeeze together anyway. You took this as an opportunity to start looking for housing in Tokyo. Due to working in Licklis for a long time, you have actually accumulated a considerable amount of wealth. I won't have much of a problem finding a nice room in Tokyo with this money. It was also during this stage that you and Fudabario were promoted from the 2nd year of high school to the 3rd year of high school. Come yet. Nangxiang cheered up. Will the study abroad event he considered before happen? Finding new rental housing in Tokyo is very important, but the study pressure faced by senior high school students is equally important. You cut down on the time you spent working at Licklick, but you did not neglect your studies. You also noticed it? Unlike you, who has cut down your part-time work time at Rico Rico, Fudabario seems to be busy with other things recently, and can't get away from going to Rico Rico either. Under such circumstances, it was Nishiki Chisuke and Inu Takina who supported the operation of Rico Rico. Similarly, when you two are busy, they will often bring snacks from the store to share with you, chat and laugh. Because of the company of Nishiki Chisuke and Inu Takina, although it was a fairly difficult day, you and Fudabario did not feel dull or bored. In addition to you, Nishiki Kishu and Inu Takina also noticed. Unlike the pressure of study, Fudabario has been busy with other things recently, but every time I ask, the other party will always wave his hand and say there is no problem. Time continues to move backwards. The 3 of you finally stopped being patient and asked Fudabario a question. Seeing that the matter could no longer be concealed, Fudabario sighed and revealed her problems over the past few days. It turns out that her parents have already contacted a research institute at a famous physics university in Germany. As long as she goes there now, she can directly become one of its physics assistants. Nishiki Kishu and Inu Takina were very surprised by this. They really did not expect that Fudabario, who had been getting along with them, actually had such financial resources and background. Compared to the surprised expressions of Nishiki Chisuke and Inu Takina, Fudabario sighed with sad eyes. Although she never mentioned it, as a science genius girl, she did have a dream of physics. But Germany is too far away. And the time to become an assistant and the date to return to China have not been set. If it passes, the next time we meet may be 7 or 8 years later. Even thinking in a more extreme direction, it is not impossible for the Futaba family to settle in Germany. She wants to go to Germany to pursue higher-level physics knowledge, but at the same time, she also wants to stay with you and move forward with you. My father, who is a famous scholar, told me that a decision must be made within this month. Fudabario sighed and said this. In the room, Nishiki Kishu and Inu Takina fell into silence. Fudabario didn't know how to answer. The 3 girls were silent for a long time, and finally they could only look at the young man with messy short black hair who had been silent and seemed to be thinking about something. A decision must be made this month. This matter cannot be changed. No matter it is Nishiki Chisuke, Inu Takina, or the person involved, Fudabario, they no longer know how to move forward. But if you are someone who has always been unhesitating and is extremely reliable in their hearts, you may have a better idea. Facing their gazes and hopes, what do you think? This is a far-reaching option. Various possibilities exist for studying in Germany. What's more, the Futaba family may also settle down in Germany until she has a certain financial ability. She will not be able to see her. This is definitely something you don't want to see. Try to retain. 2. A girl's dream is hard one. Although the waiting process is very difficult and painful, you cannot restrict a girl's development for your own selfish desires. Respect her wishes, tell her that you will not stop it, and encourage her to pursue her dream. 3. This woman actually wanted to study abroad. After the four of us confirmed our relationship, even considering the moods of Nishiki Kishu and Inu Takina, she should never be allowed to leave. 4. Simulate in person. Simulated literal stagnation. Options representing different routes pop up. Nang Xiangxi looked up. 3 options have been neatly arranged in front of you. The meaning of options 1 and 3 was very clear to Nang Xiang. Save Rio Futaba. The difference is that the first option is to persuade her gently, while the third option is to directly prevent her from leaving. If we look at the results of the second week's simulation, the first and third options should both be wrong. Judging from the simulation results of 2 weeks. Choosing to prevent Rio Futaba from studying in Germany, she, as a physics genius, will eventually find an ordinary high school life to teach and educate people. In this way, he disappeared from everyone and became a member of the mediocre masses. This ending is not bad. But Futaba Rio deserves a better ending. As a genius in physics, Futaba Rio showed outstanding talent in physics only in high school. She was able to take a better path, but ended up mediocre because of her choice. This was unacceptable to Nang Xiang. So according to this logic, options 1 and 3 should be eliminated directly. But the situation this time is different from the last time. Nang Xiangxi shook his head. Futaba Rio in the second week has not come out of her psychological shadow. She still hates herself and cannot accept herself. This is also the key to her ultimate mediocre ending. But this fourth week is different from the previous 2 weeks. Futaba Rio has come out of her personal shadow. So if we think about it from another perspective, can she, who has become stronger, be able to fulfill her dream in Japan without going to study in Germany? Even Nang Xiangxi couldn't be sure about this. Because you can only understand one person. But it is absolutely impossible to guess a person's heart and the other person's future development. The first and third options can be said to be full of mystery. If we insist on a preference, among the first and third options, Nang Xiangxi prefers the first option. But there is still a second option to choose from. Nang Xiangxi turned his attention to the second option. Encouraging Futaba Rio to pursue her dreams can actually be understood as encouraging her to study in Germany. Because Futaba's father has already arranged her future. As long as you embark on this path, it is almost foreseeable that everything will be smooth sailing. But if she goes to Germany to study, this also means that it is really possible to end up settling in Germany and not being able to see each other for 7 or 8 years, or even more than 10 years. It smells like a regretful ending. Nang Xiang was tapping on the system page. Options 1, 2, and 3 can basically be eliminated except for option 3 if you use too much force. You have to choose between 1 and 2 options. Nang Xiang fell into thinking. If it were a normal option, he might just make the choice. But this time the options before us were too important. It will even ignore the correct choices many times before, directly affecting the final outcome. This is something Nang Xiang didn't want to see. After thinking for a while, I still couldn't make a decision. In the end, Nang Xiang relaxed and raised his hand directly. Since it's difficult to distinguish, just follow your heart. Nang Xiang chose the second option. Compared to one option, retain Futaba Rio as her lover in the simulation. Of course Nang Xiangxi hopes that she can stand on a higher ground and realize her dream, instead of holding her back. Respecting her choice is what he should do. You have never wanted to be a burden to her, dragging her down. You are very important, but her dreams are also very important as a lover. What you should do is encourage her to move forward and pursue her dreams instead of standing still. Although you are very reluctant to let go, you can only comfort yourself in your heart. When you have a certain financial ability, you can go to Germany to look for her without her coming back to you. As the most beautiful boy in Tokyo, there is no doubt that you have this ability. During the simulation, memories began to emerge. I think you should go after what you want. Nang Xiangxi, who had been silent all this time, spoke up. Toki-kun, but if this is the case, Rio, she might. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My love simulation with them. Author, Chiudeo Ziwei. Chapter 287. Jinmyukinshu was a little surprised. She has long regarded Futobario as an irreplaceable friend, and she really cannot accept the situation of not being able to see him for 7 or 8 years or even 10 years. The same goes for Inu Takina. The knuckles of this girl who always had a cold face turned slightly white as she gripped the teacup so hard. The attitude of the two people has actually been revealed. Even Futobario hesitated again. But there's no need to think about it that much. Nangxiang looked at Futobario, shook his head and said, I respect your thoughts and wishes, and I hope you will not change your own thoughts because of our attitude. Futobario. Looking at Nango Toki, Nishiki Chisuke, and Inu Takina in front of them. She nodded gently, I understand. After getting your advice, Futobario stopped talking about this matter, and just entered the rhythm of daily life with you again. While getting along with you, Futobario also looked thoughtful and confused from time to time. Neither Nishiki Chisuke nor Inu Takina disturbed her during this period, both secretly hoping that the other party would make their own choice. A month is not a long time, especially for Futobario. Suddenly one day, Futobario called you. She told you that she planned to pursue her dream just as you said. Thank you also for your encouragement, which made her make up her mind. She has decided to set off today and head towards a higher point in physics. You just smiled at her thanks. Although I am sorry, maybe this is youth. With this thought, you raised your head. The blue sky in spring is vast, the sun is just right, and occasionally you can see the dazzling colors of hydrangeas. You raise your eyes high and jump over the scenery in front of you, and your heart seems to jump up with you, hovering in the blue sky. In your line of sight, you just saw the tail of the plane hidden in the thick clouds in the blue sky. Come on. You whisper to yourself. Then he turned around and walked towards the low-rent house. But after just 2 steps forward, you stopped. Because you saw it? The girl with glasses standing at your door. Wearing a white coat, she leaned on the armrest, holding 2 cans of coffee in her hands. See you coming. That face without any emotion. Smiled. Airplane clouds in spring. With warm black coffee. The taste is just right. Chapter 215. Your physical fitness has improved due to their initiative, 4K. He took the can of coffee from her. There was something warm where she touched it. But due to the spring temperature, it was still a bit chilly overall. Didn't you go to Germany? Nang Xiangxi stood firm like this, watching her lazily leaning against the fence, shaking the coffee can in her hand, and asked. Did not go. Listening to Nan Xiangxi's words, the girl shook her white coat, turned her calm face, and blinked at Nan Xiangxi. Click. Pulled the tab open and took a sip. Nang Xiangxi leaned over and looked in the direction Futobario was looking just now. Apart from the colorful hydrangeas and creepers already in bloom, there was nothing else. The two people just leaned against the fence. Aren't you going to realize your dream? I took another sip of coffee. I didn't know what type of coffee it was. It was a bit bitter. When I was in Nangxiang, I put down the coffee can and stopped drinking. No one said that you must go to Germany to realize your dream. Turn around. On her expressionless face, a sly smile appeared for the first time towards Nangxiang. Some universities in Tokyo, Japan also have physics departments that are as good as those in Germany. Nangxiang Shi. Just as she said. There are also many excellent physics universities in Tokyo, Japan. For example, at the University of Tokyo, science professors conduct research in various fields. Particle physics, astrophysics, and nuclear physics are all extremely strong subjects. She really doesn't have to be obsessed with studying in Germany. But even so. But her father had already paved the way for her over there in Germany. As long as I used to be able to skip the entrance test and the university entrance test, I could directly enter the laboratory and work as an assistant. The difference is huge. It is equivalent to avoiding a big detour for her. Nangxiang Shi slid his fingertips across the coffee can, lowered his eyes, stared at the dazzling hydrangeas below and said, "Have you really made your decision?" Listening to his words, she was stunned, then smiled and nodded, "Yes." Putting down the coffee can and lying on the fence, she said, "It doesn't mean much if I realize my dream without you. I want to be with you. Under the spring sunshine." Lying on the fence, she is more beautiful than cherry blossoms. Touching. She did not travel to Germany. Just as you encouraged her to follow her dreams and follow her heart, she also made what she thought was the right choice. Without your company, even if one person realizes his dream, it will be meaningless. That day, emotionally without any scheming, she showed a sly smile for the first time. That night, after staying with her very late, you got up and prepared to take her home. But she hugged you and refused to let go. "I don't want to go home today, Nangxiang." Fudabario softly called Nango Shi's pet name. The deep love in her words. It only took Nangxiang a moment to understand the meaning of her words. There was no obsession with returning her to her empty home. "When I was in Nangxiang, I closed the door of the low-rent house. You guys had a relationship. Emotionally, she has always been at your mercy, but that day, she was extra proactive. You understand, choosing not to go to Germany means that from now on, she will have to go to an excellent university under tremendous study pressure and pressure from her parents. This night was her most indulgent night. The next day, she was too tired to get up. It was you who brought the prepared breakfast to bed and fed it to her one bite at a time. In contrast to last night's crazy completion. She is extremely delicate when she wakes up, and she acts coquettishly towards you obviously more often than before. You met all her requirements. After that, she finally got motivated and began to devote herself to studying. Unlike you who have no blind spots in all subjects. She does have an overwhelming advantage in science, but in other subjects she is unsatisfactory, just a little better than the average student. But to reach the score line of Dongda University, we still need to work harder. On the other side, after learning that Ryo Futaba did not go to Germany, Chisuk Nishiki and Takina Inu finally felt a lot more relaxed. After knowing that she was preparing for the Tokyo University exam, the two girls prepared a lot of energy-boosting dishes, drinks, and snacks for her. This also causes her to have excess energy sometimes, and she can only vent it with you. You feel both joy and pain about this. Because it's not just Fudabario. After that, Nishikiki Chisuk and Inu Takina also noticed the change of Shuanjai Ryo from a young girl to a more mature one. Following the principle that you are not allowed to be partial. Almost in no particular order, the two of them also had a relationship with you after that. Your relationship has become even closer. This should have been a good thing. But you need to take care of your studies at the same time, and at the same time, you have to take care of the three people's coquettishness to varying degrees. You'd better say coquettishly. Nangxiang Shi couldn't help but shake his head when he saw these words. Of course he can feel the memories in the simulation. Among these three girls, Inu Takina and Fudabario can only be said to be extremely exaggerated. They have the most times. On the other hand, Nishiki Kishu, who likes oral flowers the most. My love simulation with them. Author, Chiudeo Udazi Iway. Chapter 288. At this time, he is the one who takes the best care of Nangxiang. I'm under so much pressure, don't I also have to take the college entrance examination? These guys are doing this, aren't they afraid that I will fail? Nangxiang Shi shook his head speechlessly and continued to look down. You have to take care of the three of you while taking care of your studies. An ordinary young man might have been defeated long ago and his grades plummeted. But you are different. Long-term self-discipline exercise life will make your body energetic. Coupled with the fact that you are conditioning your body with superb cooking skills, your physical fitness is getting better and better as you become more and more intimate with them. The physical fitness of Nishiki Chisuke, Inu Takina, and Fudabario has declined slightly. Your grades and your physical fitness have improved slightly. When I was watching the simulation in Nangxiang, I started to feel pain in my waist on both sides. As a result, I didn't expect that I in the simulation could actually take care of both. The key is, my body is actually getting better and better. My grades are getting better too. What succubus? It sucks people's energy, right? Nangxiang rubbed his temples. Now he really feels that the simulator lady is getting more and more outrageous. He has the ability to take care of so many people. Well, etc. Nangxiang Shi touched his chin. Maybe it can really be done both. As stated in the simulation, he exercises regularly every day, and his physical fitness value has exceeded 8, completely surpassing ordinary young people. Coupled with LV4's cooking skills and Nangxiang Ili's cooking skills, there is absolutely no problem in conditioning your body. When I thought about Nangxiang here, I couldn't help but look at the simulator again. Strange. So weird. How could he, the most beautiful boy in Tokyo, use his self-disciplined life in such a place? But forget it. Not a bad thing either. Although it's not a bad thing, it's not a good thing if it affects Fudabario's preparation for the exam. Nangxiang murmured to himself. He calmed down his mood. Continue to look at the ever-changing simulated characters. You noticed the decline in Fudabario's physical fitness, and you quickly understood the reason. In order for her to concentrate more on preparing for the exam, you have made 3 rules to her: she will not be allowed to indulge in secret, and you will also restrain your desires. Under your compulsory request, Fudabario resumed her usual routine, and her body was quickly restored. Similarly, during the long period of studying with you, she who originally had considerable learning talent learned a lot from you. Her learning experience has increased. Her academic performance has improved. Like her, you no longer indulge in desire and continue to concentrate on your studies. And among them, Nishiki Kishu and Inu Takina silently acted as support behind the 2 of you. With the help of the 2 of them, the long and difficult preparation period was finally over. You passed the entrance examination with the first rank in the country, and then entered the University of Tokyo with the first admission rank in the school. Fudabario followed you and entered the University of Tokyo, and chose her dream major of physics. Your efforts have not been in vain, your goal has been achieved. That night, Nishiki Chisuke, Inu Takina, and all the friends of Riko celebrated for you until very late. Nangxiang just closed his eyes. Memories began to rise in my mind like a rising tide. The location is probably an izakaya that can be found everywhere. The members of Riko drank and drank. When in Nangxiang, he was full of witty words. The overall atmosphere of the entire celebration banquet was high. Nakahara Mizuki also drank again after a whole year. This time she was extremely drunk. Although they were disliked by Hu Tao and the others, but no one cared about her. After all, it is finally over. Exhaling a white breath, standing next to Nango Toki, Fudabario also walked out of the private room and came out for air, blowing hot air gently into her palms. It's so cold in February. The night sky seemed to have been brightened with a brush, and you could clearly see the Milky Way flowing above your head. This whole experience of preparing for the exam in her senior year of high school was something she could never forget. There are times when it's extra hard. There are also times when she feels happy and warm. An abrupt end to high school life. It was like a storm suddenly stopping. It gave her a feeling of loss. Yeah. It's over. Compared to Fudabario, Nango Toki didn't have any unnecessary sighs, nor did he miss his senior year in high school. He just raised his head and exhaled while saying, "The next thing is what happens in the future." In the future. Leaning next to Nang Xiangxi. The girl with golden eyes wearing glasses didn't know what she was thinking. She looked up at the Milky Way in the night sky with him. Just looked at it for a while. So cold. Fudabario suddenly shuddered. The cold wind in February will not soften because of Tokyo. On the contrary, it feels sharp. It was at this time. Drink some. I got it from Sister Ruxi to warm yourself up. Suddenly a wine glass was handed over from the side. I don't know when Inu Takina touched the two people behind her and spoke like this. Hey? But we are only 18 years old, not of legal drinking age. In Japan, 18 is considered an adult, but the legal drinking age is 20. Oh no, no one will care. They also don't know when they touched Nangxiang. Nishiki Kishu next to them was already holding a small wine glass and taking a sip. Under the dim light of the izakaya, her little cheeks had a charming blush. What she said was actually the truth. As long as 18-year-old adults don't drink excessively, basically no one will gossip. It's okay, just drink a little, just drink a little. After letting out a cute wine burp, Nishiki Kishu handed the wine glass over to him. Oh well. Without continuing to refuse, Fudabario gently picked up the wine glass and took a sip. The clear wine entered the throat and turned into a heat rising from the throat. Fudabario's face blushed slightly, and then she handed the unfinished sake to Nango. Nangxiang, take a sip too. Nangxiang she smiled and responded, taking the wine glass and just about to drink it in one gulp. But he just happened to see white crystals falling and dissolved in the wine. It's snowing. Nangxiang raised his head subconsciously. Above the lights of the izakaya is the night sky washed clean by lead. Tonight is particularly clean, the dark night is studded with sparkling stars. It's rare to see such a beautiful and deep night sky in Tokyo. The morning stars flow like the Milky Way. It's really snowing. Come on, come on. Come over with your phone, let's take a photo together. It was like hearing Nangxiang's voice. The sliding door behind him was suddenly opened. The drunk Nakahara Mizuki opened his mouth and screamed in surprise. The woman yelled. This made Nangxiangshi and the others couldn't help but show funny expressions. Under the arrangement of Nakahara Ruxi, Nango Toki and Fudabario stood in the middle. My love simulation with them. Author, Chiudeo Udazi. Chapter 289. Nishiki Kishu and Inu Takina stood on either side of them, occupying the center position. The shortest walnut stood at the front. Behind everyone are the oldest store manager Mika and Nakahara Mizuki. The crowd gathered together. There is heat. And Fudabario was wrapped in this heat. She turned her face sideways. I am surrounded by Nangxiangshi. Next to her is Nishikiki Sensu, Inu Takina. Her parents are away from home all year round and she is always alone. She has never experienced such heat. She raised her eyes to look at the sky. Although it snowed. But don't know why. The chill just now seemed to have completely disappeared at this moment. With a cry of ready eggplant, in the voice. The flash flashes. Silver snowflakes dance under the light. On the photo. Her smile was as bright as a flower. Chapter 216. Don't think about it anymore. Just cook it. 4,000 words. She who often felt lonely and uneasy when she was with you no longer felt lonely. As long as she is with you, she will have the courage to face all difficulties. And now, she must take this courage and move on. After entering college, she chose the physics major according to her plan, but you chose the emerging media major. Compared to obscure physics, you feel that the current emerging media is more in line with your appetite. If it were before, maybe you would take care of her feelings and choose the same major as her. But now she no longer needs you to worry about, and you can choose the major you want to choose with peace of mind, while silently guarding her on the side. Just like the physics talent that has emerged in high school. As soon as she entered the University of Tokyo, she showed extraordinary talent in physics and a unique understanding of physics. The theoretical insights she sometimes expresses are even praised by professional instructors. 3 months after enrolling, she relied on the help of her tutor to write her first academic paper, which was published in the student paper newspaper that quarter. It is similar to her experience, and may even develop faster than her. It has only been 1 month since you entered school, and you have already earned your first pot of gold by relying on your understanding of emerging rock music and the knowledge you acquired through short videos, YouTube, and the operation of the Tianqiao video website. And because of the excellent content you produce, you quickly accumulated a considerable number of fans on the internet. There are also Nishiki Kishu and Inu Takina assisting behind this. They seem to be very interested in this new media career. With your help, the two of them created an online account called Takina Kishu while working at Rico Rico. On that, the two of them are known to many people for their outstanding FPS gaming skills. In addition to studying, you are responsible for operating their and your video accounts. Under your operation, the number of fans of the video account has skyrocketed in just a few months. You have accumulated millions of fans on the SNS network. You take this as an opportunity to start accumulating wealth and prepare for your future. Well, it seems that I started to make money directly during this week's simulation. Feeling the memory in the simulation, Nan Xiangxi nodded. In fact, my own thoughts in the simulation are equivalent to his thoughts. After all, it's not just Chisuk Nishiki and Takina Inu. Considering the extreme, there are Kazuri Goto, Akane Shinjo, Ryo Futaba. To pave their way forward for the future, there must be some financial support. So the first thing is naturally to make money. It's just that the money earned from the Lico Rico coffee house is completely insufficient for his future plans. After all, life is more than just dreams and goals, as well as firewood, rice, oil, salt, sauce, vinegar, and tea. With so many mouths at home, the expenses required will naturally not be too small. He can't live up to the girl's trust in him, right? But it's really too early to talk about this now. Nang Xiangxi shook his head, put aside his unnecessary thoughts, and continued to look down. While you were actively planning for the future, Fudabario never slacked off. She is serious and hard-working, coupled with her extraordinary talent. She quickly emerged among all the students, and several academic papers have received good responses and recognition. Gradually, she was called a genius by the outside world. Coupled with her superior family background, many male students in the same grade wanted to get close to her. But what makes them regretful is that no matter what kind of person takes the initiative to contact, this newly minted physics genius girl always maintains the utmost courtesy. This excessive etiquette actually represents alienation. Students who can be admitted to the University of Tokyo naturally understand this. After all the attempts failed, they had no choice but to give up. Apart from the relationship with you, Fudabario doesn't want to waste time on interpersonal relationships in college. She finally entered the major she wanted to enter, and she continued to learn. And when she feels tired, you are always by her side. As long as you are there, she feels particularly at ease and has the motivation to keep moving forward. And after you entered college, you found a suitable rental house and lived together. Meeting and greeting every day has long since made your already close relationship even closer. Your relationship with Nishiki Kishu, Inu Takina, and Fudabario has deepened. You have become an integral part of each other's lives. She who is chasing her dreams and you who are thinking about the future, you live a fulfilling life every day. You feel extremely happy when you get together in your free time. The waves of happiness are lapping at your feet, gradually submerging you. At the moment, there shouldn't be much of a problem. When Nanxiang saw this, he felt that the outcome of the simulation should have been determined. But there is one more thing to note. Nangxiangshi was thinking in his heart. That's right. There was one more thing that needed his attention. Although Fudabario, Nishiki Kishu, and Inu Takina accept each other. But other than them, there are two more objects that need to be taken care of. Leo's parents. Nangxiangshi touched his chin. He has not forgotten the second and third rounds, and the fact that he did not get the approval of Fudabario's parents. Because Fudabario chose to stay in Japan to take care of him, she ended up on the road to mediocrity and failed to shine her own glory. Fudabario's parents were very worried about this and could not approve of Nango Toki. It wasn't until Nango Toki and Fudabario's child was born that the relationship with Fudaba's parents eased slightly. So what about this time? Fudabario has already blossomed into the glory of her dreams in physics. And he was admitted to Tokyo University and accumulated considerable wealth in just his freshman semester. According to this development, life will definitely be considered smooth sailing. From this perspective, the two parents should also accept him. But there are also Sensu and Takina. Shaked his head. Chisuke's relationship with Takina and Fudabario. If this relationship is known to Fudaba's parents, will they still approve it? Even Nangxiangshi didn't know this. This simulation is really full of twists and turns. After exhaling a little, Nangxiang felt that his body was getting colder and colder due to the rain, so he shrank back and continued to think. Overcome the knot from the beginning. Then come the ups and downs of studying in Germany. Then to now Fudaba's parents. Nangxiangshi sincerely felt the difficulty of this simulation. But still have to keep reading. Nangxiangshi continued to look at the simulated characters. While you feel happy, you have also not forgotten about Fudaba's parents. Although Fudabario's parents are away all year round, they will eventually come back one day. At that time, how should you explain the relationship between you? This is undoubtedly a problem. Time continues to move backward. You live the same happy daily life. Fudabario is going further and further in the field of physics. The theories she proposed and the papers she wrote cannot be viewed by ordinary students. Under the arrangement of the instructor, Fudabario skipped a grade and entered the junior year. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My love simulation with them. Author, Chiudeo Udaziiwei. Chapter 290. You are no less impressive than Ryo Futaba. During this period of time, you used your own account and rich knowledge to officially run an online company, which has become somewhat famous even in Tokyo. While studying at Fudabario, you have gradually relied on your own strength, Nishiki Kishu and Inu Takina to enter the upper-class society. With such achievements in school, you have undoubtedly delivered a perfect score. You have been promoted from sophomore year to senior year and entered the stage of master's study. Everything is developing as you planned. Until one day, Fudabario suddenly told you with a worried face that her parents were about to return to the country. Originally a stable life. At this moment, there were some waves. Being able to meet Futaba's parents is a good thing for you and Futaba Rio. However, will they accept Chisuke Nishiki and Takina Inu after returning from abroad? Just thinking of this, everyone present fell silent. And it was in this silence that Nishiki Kishu and Inu Takina expressed their opinions to you. They believe that at this time, they should not confront Futaba's parents head-on, and should conceal their existence. With your level of excellence, it is not difficult to gain the approval of Futaba's parents. During this period, the views of Futaba's parents were gradually changed, allowing them to slowly accept their existence. Actually, Takina and I don't care. Sitting on the sofa in the same room, Nishiki Kishu still had the same sunny and cheerful smile. The top priority should be to get Toki-kun recognized by Ryo's parents, this is the most important thing. But Futaba Ryo listened to Nishiki Kishu's words and shook her head vigorously. This is so unfair to Kishu and Takina. They both fall in love with the same person, so why do Nishiki Kishu and Inu Takina have to accommodate her? This is really unfair to the two of them. Futaba Ryo couldn't accept it at all. But no buts. Nishiki Kishu's smile faded, and she looked so serious for the first time. This is the best choice. You must first get your parents' approval before we can talk about the future. In fact, Takina and I also agree on this. I've said it and she agreed. After saying this, she turned to look at Inu Takina next to her. Inu Takina nodded. Although he didn't speak. But Futaba Ryo could still clearly feel the determination in the girl's heart. But she didn't want to give in here either. Just like Nishiki Kishu thought about her. She also didn't want Nishiki Kishu to suffer the slightest grievance. She stopped talking and looked at Nishiki Kishu with the same expression. The two sides were in a stalemate for a long time. At last, Nishiki Kishu and Futaba Ryo turned their attention to Nango, who was sitting in the middle and thinking. They actually knew it. No matter how the three of them argued, it was meaningless. Among them, the one who has the most say to make decisions is still Nang Xiangxi. Both of them insisted on their own opinions and couldn't argue, and finally looked at you. They still believe in you and think you made the right choice. In order to live up to their expectations, you decide. 1. Considering the requests of Nishiki Kishu and Inu Takina, it is also wise to retreat in order to advance, and temporarily conceal their existence with your level of excellence. It is not difficult to get the approval of Futaba's parents, and then letting them accept Nishiki Kishu and Inu Takina is a foolproof strategy. 2. Just as Nishiki Chisuke and Inu Takina care about your and Futaba Ryo's feelings, you don't want to hide on this issue even if you are not recognized. You should be honest and tell the truth. 3. I don't want to think about it anymore. Just cook the rice without worrying about their disapproval. 4. Simulate in person. There's no need to think about this option at all. Look at the options 1, 2, and 3 that suddenly pop up. Nang Xiangxi simply glanced sideways and put his hand on the second option without hesitation. He didn't even dare to admit his feelings. Concealing one's feelings in order to gain trust, that's just something that a pure compromiser would do. These 3 options. At first glance, the 3 options are wrong options. The final result of cooked rice is definitely not acceptable. It is nothing more than following the same path as the second week. Then the answer is options 1 and 2. When I chose Nang Xiang, I just took a quick look and ruled it out. Because he likes Nishiki Chisuke and Inu Takina. In this case, they cannot be allowed to suffer injustice because of this kind of thing. As a man, he should stand in front of Nishiki Kishu and Inu Takina instead of shrinking behind them. That's all. So, whether or not the correct option is option 1, I will choose option 2. Nang Xiangxi looked at the simulation page, waiting for the results to appear. He doesn't want to, and he won't become someone who doesn't even dare to admit that he likes her, and needs to hide it. You have never wanted to let Nishiki Kishu and Inu Takina suffer injustice. I don't even want to be the man who cowers behind them at the critical moment. You decide to meet Futaba's parents and tell them your story. Then wait for their answers. Nishiki Kishu and Inu Takina are somewhat incomprehensible about your choice. Why don't you use a more reliable plan when you have it, and instead take risks? They really want to stop you. But in the end, I didn't say what I wanted to say. Because they know that once you make a decision, you won't change it. They can only wait for the day when Futaba's parents return to China. And this day is not far away. Chapter 217. You have gained their approval, 4,000 words. You did not escape, but chose to tell everything frankly. From your point of view, emotional issues are the worst things to deal with. Even if you can hide them for a while, you can't hide them for the rest of your life. You also don't want Nishiki Kishu and Inu Takina, who have taken the initiative to retreat, to be wronged and made things difficult for them. The more times like this, the more you, as a man, need to stand up and take responsibility. Just as Futaba said, her parents have returned to China. The day we meet them is not far away. About 3 days after making this decision, Futaba informed you that her parents had returned to the country and wanted to meet you as her daughter's boyfriend. Come yet. In reality, Nangxiang braced himself and paid attention to the simulation process. The place where you met is a famous high-end coffee shop in Tokyo. There, you met Futaba's parents. Futaba's father and Futaba's mother look very easygoing. You meet them and quickly communicate with them with your handsome appearance, rich knowledge, and mature behavior and speech that are far beyond your peers. Although they are quite critical of their daughter's unwillingness to go to Germany and stay with you in Tokyo. But both Futaba and you are so good, so the only point they had to complain about disappeared. After a simple meal, it can be seen that Futaba's parents are very satisfied with you, who have excellent conditions in all aspects. You have obtained the approval of Futaba's parents. But you understand that the next step is the beginning of the difficulties. Under Futaba's worried eyes, you spoke and informed Futaba's parents of the existence of Nishiki Kishu and Inu Takina. Faced with your voluntary confession, Futaba's parents looked very shocked. Do you know what you are talking about, Nango-kun? At the dining table, the middle-aged man with glasses and an easygoing face put down the coffee cup in his hand in surprise. He obviously didn't expect such words to come out of Nangxiang's mouth. In addition to his daughter, the young man in front of him actually has 2 dating partners. This joke is too bad, Nango-kun. Next to her, Futaba's mother, who also wore glasses, frowned and looked up at Nangxiang. Take it back now, we can stop worrying about it. I don't dare to joke on this point, it's all true, Aunt Futaba. Nangxiang's attitude was neither humble nor arrogant. Silence. There was deathly silence at the dinner table. Futaba's father and Futaba's mother looked at Nango in silence. Then, they turned their attention to Futaba. Li Yang, do you know about this? Futaba's father spoke. Okay, I know. Futaba nodded. Her tone was very calm. And it was this calm attitude that made Futaba's parents even more incomprehensible. When Nangxiang was out, he dated 2 other girls. His daughter clearly knows. Why do you still look calm and unconcerned? Are you just going to sit back and watch Nangxiang-kun like this? Futaba's father asked. Regarding this sentence, Futaba's voice was even calmer. My love simulation with them. Author, Chiudeo Udazi. Chapter 291. In fact, Nango-kun's association with Senchu and Takina was with my approval, no, with my support. She was telling the truth. When she was in her 2nd year of high school and was in her 3rd year, she even found a lot of harem animations and TV series for Nango, hoping to get him to accept Chisuk Nishiki and Takina Inu. When Futaba said this, her golden eyes did not waver at all. Now that she has entered college, she is taller than before. The figure is much more mature than before, and he has overcome the knots he has always had, so when he speaks, he gives Futaba's parents an indescribable sense of calmness and confidence. Futaba's parents are naturally very satisfied with their daughter's huge change. But absurd. Futaba's father knocked on the table gently and raised his head in disbelief. You actually support your lover to do this? It was Kishu and Takina who helped me get out of the shadow of the past. Futaba had no intention of retreating. You want me to be happy alone, while watching the two of them suffer misfortune. I can't do this kind of thing. She continued, when you two, Dad and Mom, were away, Nangxiang, Kinshu, and Takina were with me, so I wasn't alone like before. Although Futaba never mentioned it. But my parents work away from home all year round, and sometimes they can't come home even once a year. She still complained about this. And I heard what my daughter said. As expected, Futaba's parents also looked a little guilty. But this is not the reason for your current relationship. For me, this kind of relationship is enough. I am already very happy. Futaba refused to give up and had no intention of retreating. Nango-kun. Seeing that he could not convince his daughter, Futaba's mother was helpless and could only look at Nangxiangshi. What do you think? In fact, what Rio means is actually what I mean. Nangxiangshi also had no intention of giving in. On other issues, he can help Futaba's parents take 10,000 steps back. But only because of the matter between Nishiki Kishu and Inu Takina. There was absolutely no way he would give in. The attitudes of the two people have been made clear. The expressions of Futaba's parents became increasingly ugly. Seeing that things seemed to be developing in the worst direction. Oh, Rico, look, it's just like what I said, there's nothing we can do about it. Futaba's father, whose face was full of dissatisfaction and disapproval just a second ago, turned to look at his wife and showed a helpless smile. But Futaba's mother wrinkled her beautiful eyebrows and was about to continue talking. Okay, you and I have actually expected this ending. There is no need to continue acting. Futaba's father smiled helplessly and shook his head. Then, he looked at Futaba, who looked towards them with a somewhat puzzled expression. Futaba's father smiled and began to explain. It turns out that Futaba's parents had already asked an acquaintance to investigate Futaba current living conditions before returning to Japan. After all, it has been more than a year since she returned to China. Futaba's parents are still concerned about their daughter's current living situation and the boyfriend she mentioned. Because of this, they have actually been aware of the relationship between you for a long time, and they also know the existence of Nishiki Kishu and Inu Takina. When they found out about your relationship, their first reaction was naturally some shock and astonishment, and they even wanted to stop it immediately. But according to surveys from acquaintances, you two are very harmonious and even accommodate each other when you live together. They then suppressed their first thoughts of stopping and observed silently. During their observation, they soon discovered that their daughter had overcome her psychological weaknesses, and under your positive influence, she became more and more outgoing. You are not the only one involved, Nishiki Chisuk and Inu Takina also helped a lot. When they realized this, they felt a little complicated. If you are a friend, your relationship will undoubtedly be a perfect friendship in their eyes. But obviously, your relationship is not as simple as friends. And, after observation, they actually learned that the relationship between you is very close and harmonious. It has long been impossible to separate you from each other. After realizing this, they thought of returning to Japan and invited you to meet them. If you choose to hide the matter between Miss Nishikiki and Miss Inu from us and are unwilling to take the initiative to take responsibility, then Rico and I will never tolerate your relationship. Futaba's father spoke, shook his head and said, even if I am afraid of being resented by Rio, I will force her to leave you. He raised his head and even admired the daring Nangxiang in front of him. And obviously, at this point, Nango-kun, you have not disappointed me. Futaba's father said so. Dad. Fudabario was a little surprised by her father's unexpected resignation. Fudaba's father waved his hand, signaling Fudabario not to speak. And he continued to look at Nangxiang, being willing to take the initiative to tell us this at least shows that Mr. Nangxiang has no problem with your character. Thank you for the compliment. Nan Xiangxi lowered his head. If it were an ordinary young man, hearing Fudaba's father say this, he would have cheered and felt excited. But Nangxiang knew that Fudaba's father had not yet talked about the real key issue. That is whether he truly recognized them. And noticed Nangxiang's calm expression. Fudaba's parents looked at each other, obviously very satisfied. Satisfied is satisfied. What needs to be said needs to be said. You young people's affairs should be handled by you young people. Fudaba's mother spoke. She has been silently observing her daughter's life with Nango Toki, Nishiki Kishu, and Inu Takina for a long time. Knowing that their relationship is unshakable. But this doesn't mean that Rico and I fully approve of you here. Fudaba's father took a sip of coffee. If you want to gain our complete recognition, it depends on your future performance. When he looked at Nangxiang. Although I am very happy now and no one can interfere, but the road of life is very long. Fudaba's father exhaled slightly. What will happen to you in the future, and what kind of relationship will develop, I and Rico will observe silently, if you are still the same as you are now. He stopped talking at this point. But the meaning behind the words was very clear. They have temporarily recognized the relationship between Nango Toki, Nishiki Kishu, Inu Takina, and their daughter. But what happened next? Then it depends on the development of their relationship. After all, although they are together now, living happily and harmoniously, they do not allow others to interfere. You can, but not necessarily. The human heart is the most fickle. No one can tell what will happen in the future. The atmosphere at this casual meal was quite harmonious. Fudaba's parents don't mean to embarrass you too much. Actually, they still have a vague appreciation for you who helped Fudabario get out of her psychological shadow. You have temporarily gained the approval of Fudaba's parents. And this result also made Nishiki Kishu and Inu Takina feel relieved. Similarly, they also felt a little lucky. Fortunately, you didn't hide their existence, otherwise this meeting with Fudaba's parents would definitely end on bad terms. Your sense of responsibility for them allowed you to gain the approval of Fudaba's parents from a near-desperate situation. And sense of responsibility is also the most important thing in long-term love. After this meeting with Fudaba's parents, the relationship between you has deepened. In reality, Nan Xiang, who had been observing the simulation movements, also let out a sigh of relief. I didn't expect that the investigation had been done in advance. I really didn't expect it when I was in Nangxiang. Fudabario's parents actually had already completed the investigation on him before returning to the country. But if you think about it carefully, this is normal. After all, Fudabario's family is well off and she can live in a luxurious house in Tokyo. Naturally, her parents would not be stingy with the money they spent on her. There will definitely be an investigation into his boyfriend. Fortunately, I chose option 2. This time it was definitely Nangxiang's sense of responsibility that saved his life. If you really follow what the simulator says, choose an option. Then there is a high probability that the simulation will lead to a regrettable ending where Fudabario is forcibly picked up by his parents and all contact with him is severed. So what will happen next? Nan Xiangxi is in a good mood now that he has been saved from a desperate situation. He had a premonition. The rest of life should be considered smooth sailing.